Oh, well, I guess the cat is out of the bag. And it's scratching the ones under your eyes. But they say, you know, you get more beautiful as you get older. But if that was the case, why would they make products to make you look younger? Age is just a number. Except for legal purposes, it's not. And legally, I am doing a number on myself. Because Drake has not fulfilled his promise of pushing back the album to October 6th. As I am recording this on October 6th at 2:51 a.m., you would understand my disdain that the album is not being dropped till 6 a.m. He should have just named the single he put out instead of 8 a.m. in Charlotte, put 6 a.m. in Metro Atlanta, because I got a couple disses coming his way. And I'm gonna get more washed than MGK did versus Eminem, which I actually don't think MGK really did that bad, but for sake purposes. But yeah. Drake. Why? Why are you doing this to me? I took today off. This may sound really sad. I was like, you know what? Typically I would go into work today. I'm like, you know what? Today's a great day. I can have my day off. I can go to the gym. I can actually have a nice day, spend with my lady, come home, relax, and then just get home in time for the album to drop. And I get home and find out. Even DJ Academics was streaming. And someone put his live stream on YouTube. And I'm sitting there clicking on it, ready for some type of reaction or whatever. And as he's doing the stream 3 or 4 minutes past midnight, he goes on Instagram because he's trying to find it. And he's like, Drake posted, it will be dropping at 6 a.m. And he was sitting there stunned, didn't know. Should he stop the stream, whatever? He's like, well, fuck it, I don't care. I'll stay up. I got nothing else to do. It's when Drake drops, it's the definition. I don't know why Drake's doing it. Maybe he's making a few final touches. I think it's just because he can. Just to prove a point, yep, I will make you stay till 6 a.m. even though I pushed it back. It's kind of like that treatment that, who is she? Erykah Badu is notorious for being notoriously late to concerts, and you're going to stay and wait for her. And there's something about people waiting for you. It adds more power. It adds more anticipation. It makes people feel maybe more angry. And some people, it shows hey, whatever Drake wants, I'm here for you. And I'm mostly in that camp, hey, I'll be fine. I just got to wait, 3 hours and 5 minutes. But you know what? Who's keeping track? It's not like I have a countdown like Santa's coming to town on Christmas or anything. I remember those as a young kid. The Santa Claus, you would always look on Christmas Eve and Christmas. It would be where's Santa Claus in the world? It'd be he's in Singapore right now. It's yeah, he gifts all these gifts, and somehow it's hey, can we have food? It's I'm sure food would be nice, but here's a Hot Wheels car you could drive around in. It's yeah, we don't have any outlets to battery power these. We're a third world country. He's just well, it'll be fun the first time you ride it. But yeah, it's okay. I'll be all right. But yeah, recording this at 2:55 a.m. Eastern on October 6, 2023 for the archives. Welcome to the Off and Beat podcast with Clint Nelson. Jesus, I'm all over the place with the order I typically do things. Welcome to the Off and Beat with Clint Nelson, the podcast. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Never gets old, the redundantness. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on all apps, and also leave a review a 5-star, 4-star review, however much you like Spotify. I have a couple reviews on there, genuine reviews. Didn't ask anyone to leave a 5-star review. I actually just have a genuine couple of reviews. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a thumbs up, and all that good diddly-do. Because I will party like a rock. Party like a rock in a hard place star. Yeah. So, what's the rock cooking on this episode? But yeah. So, recent, there's something that happened recently in my life, and you don't want to speak too much to existence. And if it doesn't work out, I can always come back on the podcast and completely be angry as fuck and blame the world and be like, hey, and it's probably not smart to talk about in general, so I'll keep it vague. Let's just say I interviewed for a position of meaning that could potentially, financially, and, just from a growth standpoint, building the resume, challenging yourself as a person. I interviewed for a job position that, let's just say, my pay would increase a good, I think the numbers is like 30%. If I'm doing the math correct, it's a pretty substantial. It's pretty, my taxes are going to be a little bit paid on time, I guess. I'm not admitting to anything. I was watching something recently where someone was at a show. And here's the thing with like this crowd work stuff. I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't know. It was a crowd work thing a comedian was doing. And then the crowd, someone was talking. He's like, who do you work for? He's like, I work for the IRS. And everyone in the crowd just booed and everything. But he was like saying like, yeah, I work for the fucking IRS. And he's like, man, you suck more than I think you did, And he's like, and he kind of pointed out there was this guy like keeping his head down, like, it's like, I have a feeling you owe some money to the IRS. Don't just like, don't worry, he can't audit you here. And then the dude was like, well, actually, he's like, shut up. No one likes you. But yeah, let's just say it would be a nice. And I did an interview, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I was I wasn't nervous going in. I'm always, I'm not nervous about interviews or like structural, conversational settings potentially. I don't get scared about those, right? I don't worry about that. Like, I don't worry about being able to react to what's being asked. As long as you prepare in some ways. You don't want to over prepare for these things because you want it to feel natural and flowing. You want to be able to be present. The problem is sometimes when you're so prepared, you're more worried about what you're going to say instead of actually reading, responding in real time type of thing. So I was actually very mindful to like, you know what? I need to understand the format. I need to really make sure I check a few boxes preparing for this, look like I want the job. And, it lasted about an hour and some change. And I think that's a good sign. I think I did very well. But I think the best thing about doing interviews and stuff is that you actually get a real gauge of like how people in real positions of authority look at you as an individual. Whether it's a workplace or this could be more generalized. Because, look, you work somewhere, you do X, Y, and Z with whoever. People may comment like, you know what, you're really, do you know that you're really good at blah, blah, blah. Like, you make people feel blah, blah, blah. But then when you get in these, like, that's actually challenged. You actually see like, man, let's see if I actually do know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's see if I actually do know, why I'm doing this, right? And I don't have the job yet. I have a really good feeling. But see, the problem is you don't want to become so inclined to assume that you get something that may or may not be there. But typically you get a really good feeling. But some people are so good at interviewing, and some interviews go make you feel like you did a good job, even if you may or may not, in their eyes, did everything the way they would have ideally wanted some. But, I I guess it's just more like, hey, it's a pivoting point in my life. I did something that was kind of uncomfortable. I could have stayed what I was doing and been okay and kind of made life hard on myself, or I could challenge myself and there could be a lot more benefits down the road. And one of the biggest things, actually, I think I talked about trying to go for a position in a past podcast. But one of my worries, because I always see it, and I guess I'll make this more, here's where we're actually talking about subject matter, there's a fine line between not sacrificing things you enjoy in your personal life compared to not taking certain authoritative risk in your occupation. Let's just say your professional life. And the hardest part could be when you have outside pursuits that take time in your thought process, your mind, and the things you worry about is typically when you take positions that require a little bit more of your time. There's a more pay. So typically with those jobs come with a little bit more stress. It come with work stress. You worry about, man, like, do I even want to have to deal with that? Take that shit home with me? Kind of worry about that. That's a genuine thing, especially when you do something that takes your mental capacity. It takes you, being the best versions of yourself. And sometimes those jobs, sometimes those positions that have status, those positions that have real, it could really put a number on someone if they're not really prepared for it. And, especially if you don't have experience. Like, I don't have experience for potentially this job that I may be getting, right? But, it's one of those things that I avoided maybe really going at it full-fledged because I was afraid it would interfere with doing this show or doing my writing or doing even, just going to the gym. Like, it's one of those type of jobs where, especially in the near future, it's a lot of hours and stuff, right? But the way I look is like, I think a lot of people can justify working a lot more if they feel like the financial benefits of doing it make it worthwhile. I think the issue we have is now we live in a very economic situational life. Like, yes, there's higher pay than ever and everything, but everything's inflated. Everything costs an arm and a dickwad. And it's just, it just really makes some people are just like, you know what, I'm going to be pretty much broke anyways, even if I work these extra 12 hours this week. So, you know what, I might as well just have that time to myself and pretend that it will be all right if I don't do anything, because it's just an endless cycle. But one things I've gone back and forth with, and I think a lot of people can relate, and that's why I kind of wanted to even mention and talk about it, was because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to take certain opportunities that they could do, make potentially more money, take a potentially more stable position, because they're afraid what comes with that position may interfere with stuff they enjoy outside of life. And you know what? That's a very fair thing to worry about. It's like, until basically you need to take that, basically life will basically be like, hey, you don't have to do it, but it ain't looking good for you if you don't, And sometimes that's motivated. No, I don't think there's anything wrong in general. That's a main reason why you pursued a job was because of the financial aspect of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If I was an employer, right? And one of the reasons, like, I asked someone, hey, so why do you want this position? Maybe it wouldn't want to be, you wouldn't want the overwhelming theme of everything they're saying be like, hey, yeah, the money's good and, I need to do this financially and all, like, that would be like, all right, trust me, we know people aren't going to take this job unless it was getting paid what it was getting paid. But what about the job actually interests you? What about it do you think elevates something about you in the future, even after you decide to leave the job, or what? If everything's just about, man, I just need this shmoney. I would love for someone to say that in an interview. Man, I'm just trying to get this bread out here, trying to make this money, And like, yeah, well, you're not going to be doing that here, I guess. But I would have no problem if someone listed like a few things that were not money related and be like, oh, and to be honest, the financial benefits are pretty, it's definitely enticing. It makes it worthwhile to take it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. 99% of employers, I don't think really are mad with that statement, because no one's going to take a job that comes with more responsibility if there's not a financial incentive. That's just doesn't make sense. So, you don't have to play the whole like, you know what, I would do this job for free, because I would look at you and be like, you sure? All right, hey, say less. Are you dumb? I think I am. But it's a genuine concern, and I feel for a lot of people, because what you don't want, I think you want it to be where you still feel like you're taking a position because you feel like, you know what, I actually kind of want to do this. Even if maybe your personal situation, maybe fast forward that, you definitely don't want to be in a position where you have to take a job just because of how much money it takes, or how much money it can give you, if your other options aren't even relatively in the ballpark to be able to afford whatever you need to afford. You don't want to be where you need to have to take a job. You want it to be where it's like, you know what, it's about time I take it. And there's a lot of things, pressure that may push that along. Sometimes pressure applies results. Sometimes discomfort, reality of struggle in life can really make you do shit that you weren't ready to do or not sure you're ready to do, but you just kind of be like, you know what? I got to stop being a little bitch, And also, probably don't tell your interviewer in the podcast that you do a podcast, because they may look for this. I shouldn't be saying anything in this show, but you know what? At the end of the day, this podcast is my baby. And, it's where I've got to be the best and most honest version of myself, so that one day I can make a honest living. But that's the thing, man. It's a lot of people, man, they can't take positions that have responsibility. And it's going to be something interesting for me if I do get the position, because it is pretty intent on you being responsible for everything, a lot of things, And I've just never had to do it in a professional work environment. So I've always just been able to do my job specifically, do it at a very high level. The jobs I've noticed, I've been asked to do higher positions of other jobs, but I was just like, you know what? Nah, I'd rather do Freestyle Friday with my boy. That's actually kind of true. I was asked at my first job, like, hey, you ever thought about becoming a shift manager at McDonald's? And I was like, yeah, for $2.50 extra an hour, and seeing managers go to the dumpster area and blowing 5 dudes. True story. I actually had a manager when I worked at a McDonald's. Literally during the rushes, in between like 6 to 9 p.m. we be in there. Me run this whole grill area. A girl doing the window plus taking orders. Like, I don't care if people say, man, that McDonald's shit, working that. It's not that the task specifically you are doing is hard. It is the multitasking, being in charge of doing so many different things when you work certain shifts at the same time simultaneously. It's not about you know what? You don't have to actually, you just pull some levers. The drinks will do automatically nowadays. The burgers, you don't have to look at the time. It'll cook on its own time. The stuff is already pre-packaged, everything's prepped for you for the most part. Like, this stuff's really not hard. but it's the speed and the multitasking aspect that for someone's, very early in their working career, someone who's in charge of a whole building at a point in time, it's like, yeah, that shit can be like, I've said the most stressed out people I've seen is when I worked at those places. When I worked there, like I've seen employees stress and managers that I've worked for stress. And honestly, I think the most consistent stress, it was that job, And the thing is like the increase from my position of just working in a grill area, making at the time $8.50 an hour, and I swear to God, I could save more money making $8.50 an hour than what I make now, and probably potentially what I'm gonna make if I get this position, because my life expenses have increased. I have a pretty steep lifestyle. As the ladies like to say in divorce courts, like, I'm just used to a lifestyle. It's like, well, your life income says otherwise. It's like, oh, that's a shame. But I guess big things are coming. I'm such a fool. That's you could look at my face and the story's true. I fucking shaved. I'm a shaver. I don't shave any points, even though I gamble. Which, some told me tonight, it was Thursday night. Some told me I typically, one of the rules I have for my sports gambling betting, I don't bet on Thursday night games at all. I don't do Monday night games. Those are the first, before I used to sometimes add a Sunday night game if it was being played on a player and stuff. But the issue is I've noticed with these primetime games is like conventional shit just doesn't happen. Like, it's a big light, certain things happen. It feels like it's just, the games always go in these crazy fucking places. And for these, even for these Sunday night football, like, the worst thing is when you have, okay, I've already hit on 3 things. I just need this one player to rush for 40 yards. He's been averaging 15 carries a game. The over-and-under is 40 yards. Hey, get 40 yards. And then the worst thing is when you do everything right, you're feeling good. And then, you're just like, you know what? This guy's going to get 40 yards tonight. I got $80 coming in my account. And then the guy gets like 4 carries. And you're fucked. That is the worst feeling. So I always do my bets during the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock games. Because that's where most of the games are. And that's where I'm like, you know what? At least I'm going to know by the end of that day if I'm getting paid. But yeah. I guess the more of all that is, if you have an opportunity to go for a better position with potential growth and stuff like that, do it. Don't be afraid of it. Even if you doubt whether you're able, your abilities, Well, actually, if you doubt it, don't do it. There's no need to take on responsibility if you already doubt the fact that you can deal with the responsibility. But yeah, drink responsibly. As today's sponsor, Dunkin. Still waiting for your sponsor, guys. It would be really nice if you saved me a lot of fucking money. I honestly feel like if I had a sponsor from Dunkin, I wouldn't even ask them to pay me. Honest to God. I'll just be like, hey, just give me a voucher where I just get unlimited Dunkin' products whenever I go. And I will advertise your company for every single podcast for the rest of my life for free. Even if I were to get to such a status where I could charge you $200K for an advertisement, right? Like one of those Joe Rogan things. Like, dude, the things this dude can charge for advertisements is fucking insane. But even if I were to ever get to that absurd point, I would still just be like, you know what? You guys will save me a lot of money. So I will just do your sponsor every episode. I will drink your shit during every episode, and we will be all right. Well, actually, at that point, I wouldn't even ask. I would just be like, hey, can I just become a franchise? Like, can you just give me the operations to a Dunkin', let me buy it, or just give me a Dunkin' Donuts. I won't even buy it, just give it to me, Have it nearby my house. Anytime I want to go get my shit, I'll make sure things are running properly. I'm a guy that likes to operate. And once I start doing surgery on the nose cavity, there'll be a lot of buzzing going through my body. Because I'm just one big honeybee. Because once I sting, you could put my cremation in a bottle, put it on a grocery store shelf, and charge $27 because I'm all natural and organic. Honey. Yeah, honey prices are fucking insane. Syrup prices are absurd. You buy fucking raw, unfiltered, real syrup for $42 for like 10 ounces. Like, suck my maple syrup fungus looking toenail. It actually kind of does look like maple syrup. But I bet you won't dip your butter waffle in there. God damn it, that's why I forgot fucking butter. But yeah, it's going great out here, Always stay positive, as they say, It's all about the positive vibes. It's a positive vibe. With you, she likes to vibe. With me, she likes me inside. All right. This actually is probably not helping my case. Now, I just thought about that earlier because I was listening to that 8 a.m. in Charlotte song by Drake. And I felt like that I was like listening to the flow of that. You ever listen to a song and you start making your own lyrics over it? And you start pretending you're like Drake and some shit? And I started like in my mind, like as the flow was going, with you, she feeling the vibe. But when she chilling with me, we don't even go outside. I be just going inside. Some dumb shit like that, And who would make some connections about some watch or some biblos that no one, like some rich people shit. Some buying, clothing that no one even really knows except if you make over like $500,000 a year. It's like there's a secret society of clothing where it's like, oh, if you don't, and then there's always some random username in the comments like, oh, if you guys don't know what this is, tell me you're poor without telling me you're poor. It's like, tell me you're poor without telling me you're poor. Can you not afford a Google account with the actual username? It's like, oh, well, that's what rich people do. Real rich people don't actually tell you you're rich. They actually keep everything secluded. They don't put their name out there. So all these people you see on YouTube that claim they're rich and have $500 million net worth, they're not really rich because real rich people don't want you to know they're rich. And it's like, actually, that's not true. There's rich people that want you to know they're rich. Elon Musk literally bought Twitter just because he's like, you know what? I just want to be able to post whatever the fuck I want on Twitter. Boom. What did he put? Like fucking $30 billion or whatever the fuck to buy that shit? It's like, don't sit here and tell me like, oh, rich people don't want you to really know they're rich. It's like, no, like actually, some of them really do. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they, but what they say, a man rich in spirit will always beat a man that's rich. And that's why men that are rich in spirit ride Spirit Airlines. Which I've never, this actually will expose how poor I am. I don't even travel. But like that's the thing, I've only heard about Spirit Airlines. I haven't been on a plane since I was like 12 years old, I don't think. I'm not afraid of flying. I think I would enjoy it. But what discourages me, and I think most people that don't travel, it's like, I'm sure it would be great to go to Spain. I'm sure it'd be great to go to Beijing. I think it would be good. The pictures say it looks good. I think it would be great to go to Australia. I think it would be great to go to Denmark, Ireland, Amsterdam. Brazil. But it's just everything that comes with going there. The getting the passport, to going online and buying a plane ticket, going online, getting a ride to the airport, because you can't really just drive yourself to the airport and park there unless you want to, have your car parked somewhere for $400 over 3 days or some shit, and deal with the traffic that comes with where most airports are, which are in the middle of where fucking everything has happened. And then the security, going through security, paying to have extra baggage, saying, this shit weighs. And God forbid if you go somewhere and they lose your luggage, dealing with that. Then it's like, oh, you actually only bought a ticket to go there, a one-way ticket. You didn't buy one to come back. So the only thing we have available is this $1,300 economy ticket we're going to be sitting next to in depend diapers. And you're going to be, depending on your ability not to smell anything, to make sure you survive that flight. Which actually, I think there was an incident like 3 weeks ago. It actually happened on a flight, I think, that went from Atlanta to somewhere else, and they had to fly it back after like an hour and a half or some shit, because some person had diarrhea streaking down the aisle or streaking down the plane, and it wasn't the bathroom area. And of course, it was a health hazard and all that shit. Like, imagine if you were the person for why that is. I mean, people on the plane know who you are. So, like, someone's probably going to put you on blast more than the stuff that came out was on blast. Jimmy Neutron. But yeah, that's the thing, right now I'm kind of having diarrhea of the mouth. This is one big gold mine. Poopy scoopy. I need my own litter box. I do not want to squat in that direction. Ugh. Yeah. Skeet. But yeah. Imagine if you're on a plane and you just see this brown streak. I'll be like, oh man, the kid spilled his, Horizon organic 2% little chocolate milk thing that their mother probably paid $8.50 for on the flight, just because, that's I think it was it Spirit? Nah, I don't know if it was Spirit. Maybe an American Air. It was probably Delta. It's always Delta. I guess they were Delta bad hand. No? Okay. But imagine if you're on a plane dealing with that, like, would you be more scared of seeing diarrhea, watery poop going in between your legs on the ground? Or if you were on a plane with the snake going in between your leg? That's a tough call. That's tough. Would you rather have diarrhea, someone else's diarrhea flowing in between your legs for a flight, or dealing with a snake on a plane? I guess it depends what type of snake, but maybe it depends more on what type of diarrhea. Are we talking about like the diarrhea with little mud, chocolate chip chunks kind? Are we talking about ones that just look like dirty water when it overflows into mud? We talking about one of those? Are we talking about one of those, melted fudge, slow burning ones? Like kind of ones that look like lava, crest molasses looking things? Like one of those things? I don't know. Look, I hate snakes. I think snakes are, I understand the purpose. All the animals, all of us have a purpose for survival. We eat this. Other animals eat insects. Some insects kill other bugs. Roaches kill this. Rats kill, whatever the fuck. Like, but, snakes are just one of those things where it's like life would be a lot less scary without them. Like, what would scare you more? In water, seeing this long megalodon, 200-foot prehistoric shark come in your direction, or being in a not even an Amazon river, just like being outside in the woods and you see this like 80-foot python coming at you, or not even coming at you, just in your vicinity. It may not even notice you. Because in water, you're out of your natural habitat. Like, you can't swim fast. Everything's working against you. One gulp, and you'll be less than chop a can of pulp. On feet, you can justify that you might outrun a snake. But the thing is, like, when it gets you, they typically, they'll try to strangle you, wrap around your body. They'll bite you, they'll swallow you whole. And even when they swallow you whole, depending on you, I think you're still alive for a period of time. Like, you just expand in their body until you suffocate and can't breathe type of shit. Where a shark, look, they bite you in half. I mean, you're done for in a minute or so. You're going to bleed out to death in your best case scenario. A snake is just long, grueling death, and you die on nature's soil that was supposed to be your advantage. So I guess, like, if you die in the water, it's like, hey, man, I was just out of my element. But if you die on feet to an 80-foot snake, you're just a weak-ass little bitch. But if it's on a plane, you're in the middle of the air. It's like, so, like, you're not out of your habitat, but you're not completely in your habitat. So it's that in-between phase. Man, that's kind of a scary thing. See, but the point is, this is why I don't want to fly. I don't care to travel. It just seems like so many things are not really worth going to see a tower or going to, experience a brothel in, Thailand. Because, once you get in these places, especially in Thailand and Bangkok, you may not actually find what you think you're looking for. And by the time you realize, you was like, whoa, she was really pretty. But what I saw next made me think like, oh, Jesus. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I guess the moral of all that is traveling is not really worth it. But you know what? I would rather die experiencing, what God gave us than living a unfulfilled, unseeked, unadventurous life. And God's like, I had to create all this just because I had to create room for everyone, I had to find places for every one of you fucking species to exist. A species existed. I just had to create the environments for all of you to live. Like, you really think God's like roaches? Great. You're like, well, I guess we'll build little, It's like, oh, monkeys, chimpanzees, snakes, parrots, toucans. I guess we'll build a forest where they can all just kind of not. Can you imagine if they just all lived where we lived? We all lived together. We probably adapt to each other over time. Then you'd be one of those weird people with a fucking puma as your pet. And by the way, I've come across this dude that owns a puma. I don't know where he lives. I guess it can't be America. But he actually owns a legit puma. Now, puma, I missed this shirt I used to have. It was a hand-me-down shirt I got from somewhere. And you couldn't even tell it was puma. The only reason why I knew it was puma because I found this one part in the back that had a puma on it. But the label, the thing was like washed off essentially. But it was the most comfortable shirt I had to this day. And it was just a black t-shirt. It fitted perfectly. God, I would fit really good in that shit now. Whew. But I get a different time of puma these days. George of the Jungle, watch out for that tree. I guess I really am like George in the Jungle. Because the more I talk, the more I get decapitated by a tree branch. But George of the Jungle, I think, was actually just supposed to be a comedic, scary movie version of Tarzan. But I'm pretty sure that's one of those movies, like when I watched it when it came out, that was one of those movies when it came out in real time. It was like, man, this is just a fun fucking movie to watch. It's good for the kids. It's a lot of blue type of humor. But I feel like now, like a lot of things, it would be like, this is completely absurd. This is absurd even for a kid's movie. This is just dumb. Like, you know? But at the time, it felt like the greatest fucking movie. And I haven't watched it recently or anything. I don't know why that just came to mind. I'm probably closer to George of the Jungle than I am Thor. It feels like every time now I get a compliment every single time. Like, bro, you really look like Thor. You probably look like you worked out 3 times today. I'm like, it's been twice this week. He's like, nah, I just saw you here yesterday. I'm like, I haven't been here since Sunday, my friend. And I was like so serious. And I think he was like kind of joking, but it felt like I don't know how to take compliments. I know what you're saying. But it's like, what am I supposed to be like? Well, you don't know what it's like to be me, man. You know, being a fitness influencer with 4 million followers like Bradley Martin, you know, it's just, it takes a dedication you just don't understand. I guess if I were to pick up girls at the gym, I would call it that raw talk. Huh? Not bad. Not that I would, because I'm a man who loves his woman. But I'm just saying. It feels like there's less videos of guy creeps now. It seems like there's less videos about creeps in the gym. I mean, obviously they still exist. But I think it's less and less videos being put out there because I think less people are just probably don't want to go to those gym environments. People will just go to the gym when no one's there. Honestly, I think people are kind of at that point where people would prefer to do things that typically you would do socially with other people, or at least around other people without thinking twice, and try to do them at times where no one else will realistically be there. People like to go to, now I know it's like, there's not many people that are hanging around at like coffee shops at 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon and socializing or even doing work, right? Now people just go either first thing in the morning or they go at times that just like late at night when not many people are there. Everyone just kind of prefers to do everything when they assume, or that we all just kind of agree would not be regular times you would do these things. Maybe it's because there's a lot instilled into people. If you need to be doing things first before everyone wakes up, or you need to be doing things, staying up late so you can separate yourself from people. It's like, okay, I get that corny shit. It's really just about, are you going to do the thing today? It doesn't really matter all that much when you do it. In some cases it does, like, but for the most part, you're either going to get the shit that you wanted done. It doesn't matter if you wake up at 5 a.m. before you have to start your quote-unquote regular day at 7 a.m. and you do your, morning workouts, or you do all this extra stuff, and it's like, but then you don't do shit the rest of the day. Then you just woke up a couple hours earlier just to still not do shit the rest of the day, essentially. That's the thing. It's very easy to sell, like, the rise and grind culture. It's like, do you just fucking do the shit, or do you not? This whole, like, waking up at 4 a.m. or staying up till 2 a.m. And this whole weird culture of just, like, feeling the overconsumption of feeling like you've got to be working a shitload to be acclimated, to be admired. And if you're not working 14 hours every single day, you're not really about that life. It's like, and I guess I actually came across this earlier, kind of transitions to people are getting on. I came across this sports now on ProFootball Talk. I came across a YouTube video where Mike Florio, it was a clip they put out of a show. And the thing is, like, he actually put out this clip and really thought, like, oh, yeah, like, what I'm saying is actually, like, people are going to resonate with me. And it was Kirk Cousins, because he did the Netflix series with quarterbacks last season. And it was essentially him. It was basically showing that day by day of what it takes to prepare, being the quarterback of a team, blah, blah, blah. And the thing that stuck out to people was every Tuesday, he takes Tuesday off completely from football/work, meaning he doesn't go to the facility. Tuesday is his day to spend time with his family, his kids, his wife, and that's their day. That's their day, right? And most people that would say that, people would be like, you know what? That's really honorable. That's really great that, you know what? There's more to life than work. Work-life balance. He's still working every day of the week. He just makes sure he makes time for, you know, the woman taking care of his kids, his livelihood, and all that shit. They forget, like, every day he prepares, he's intense, the crazy grind he goes through, first in, last one out type of thing. But because he takes one day, right? Mike Florio had an issue because there was a picture he posted. It's one thing when, like, it's said in a documentary, people are like, oh, okay, whatever. But then I guess there was a social media picture posted of Kirk Cousins at I think it was a Miami Marlins game. He was at a baseball game. He was at an MLB baseball game. And it may have been the Twins. That may be. But he was just at the game with his wife. His wife took the picture of them kids. He obviously like, okay, cool. He didn't think like, whatever. And I don't think anyone had an issue except for Mike Florio, the person running a show called ProFootball Talk. And he made this deal about this is not a good look, you know. His work ethic isn't really, you know, this is a day by Sunday through Sunday, the grind, the things that separate the great for good. This is why he has shrinked in big moments. It's like, you know what? I don't think if he didn't go to that game, I don't think if he's taken Tuesday off every Tuesday for the past 5 seasons of, let's just say, I don't think that's the reason why he has fallen short. I don't think if he would have been at the facility to learn what a cover 2 zone defense of what the Tampa Bay Bucks are doing is going to make a fucking difference. He's at a point in the league where it's like he either knows what he's seeing, he either's making good decisions or he's not. I don't think him doing that was going to be the difference between them making the NFC Championship game compared to them not making the playoffs. And you know what people are going to say? Well, you know what? That's why you're not in that league, because you're not at that level, because you don't understand the preparation it takes. Like, it's like, no, you know what? There's the things that people sell you about this shit to make it always feel like, and it's a very intense business. I get it day by day. It's also a very small 4 or 5 month league, 6 months, I guess, off season. It's literally a half a year league. There's 6 months off for the players. Now they're training and stuff, but you know, the 16 hours a day thing, you know, it's a reflection on, like, this man took time out to be with his family. Yes, this dude's getting paid a lot of money. They're all getting paid a lot of money. And the point he made, he's the highest paid employee in the building. You should be doing everything every day, every possible chance, and you try to use other quarterbacks as example of every day it's like, yeah, look, that's what they tell you. You really think that Patrick Mahomes doesn't take, you know, half a day off to spend time with his kids? And like, that's the thing. These people just be saying shit. People think that just because you're making $28 million a year, 30, like, you're not entitled to have time to actually, because sometimes that recovery and that day off is what will continue making you more on target with the task. You got to take time off sometimes. You got to take your day off in the week to reset yourself so you can be better going forward instead of being caught up in this endless one direction cycle, right? And I highly doubt that he just doesn't study film at home. I highly doubt when he goes home He literally just does nothing that day during the season. Like, I'm pretty sure he's doing shit at home at nighttime when the kids go to bed, or at least, like, that's the thing that's so stupid with this shit. And the fact that someone be comfortable going out, question someone's work ethic, when that's literally one of the things that makes him even, pretty successful at his position. Because he doesn't have crazy arm talent. He doesn't have the most obvious physical tools. His growth as a player getting consistently better. His stats getting better over the time. Say what you want. He's been a starting quarterback for like 8 years straight now. He's obviously doing something right. There's been plenty of players that come in and they have the greatest work ethic ever, but there's no sustainability because there's no balance. And when you don't have balance, you're not grounded. When you're not grounded, you are more susceptible to do things that cost you more of your career, to become overwhelmed and not actually be in control of your life and situation. And that's when bad things can sometimes happen to people. And it seems like Kirk Cousins just has a belief of what he feels of everything that's supporting him, and he finds ways to prioritize it, even with the stress of his job, even with the status, even with the responsibility, the influence that comes with his job. I guarantee if they were to ask every single person in that building, especially the players, there may be some coaches that are like, oh, we're in here grinding 15 hours a day and all this shit. It's like, yeah, because what else are you going to fucking do? You just draw up a bunch of plays, you just create scenarios, try to prepare the team and stuff. It's like, yeah, what else are you going to do? You're not actually out there having to react to what's happening. You're not reacting when my wide receiver can't separate. Well, in his case, Justin Jefferson's always separated, but you're not out there when I'm getting rushed because the left guard can't tackle or he can't, block Chris Jones that day, and I'm fucked. You're calling these plays like, oh, just get it done. It's like, I can't really do it when this guy's in my face in a second and a half. Just get the ball out quicker. It's like, people don't run 40 yards in a second and a half. The 40-yard dash is simply 4 to 5 seconds, But, it's more of the comfort of criticizing someone for doing a normal activity during the regular season. If it was the playoffs and it's like a ride or die game the next game, I can understand that. Like, that sounds like, all right, it's not a good look. We're talking about week 4, week 5 of the season. Like, Kirk Cousins is not the Vikings' issues. Anyways, if we're going to be... It's not like fucking... Desmond Ridder was at a game, has been stinking up the joint. It's just... It's so fucking stupid. But what I was saying, if you were to survey and ask every single person in that building, does any of you have a problem with him going to the game with his family? They'd be like, are you fucking kidding? Like, that's what you're asking us? Like, no one would have an issue. Because they know when he comes into the building, he's prepared. They know with him, he's going to come be prepared for everything that day. That's not going to be a question. Now, if it was a quarterback that had work ethic issues and was unprepared, they felt he wasn't taking his job seriously, doing the extra work necessary. It just, also, here's the thing. Just because someone's working, more quote unquote working and at the building and actually doing quote unquote what they say they're doing X, Y, and Z from the moment they wake up to the moment they end the day, that doesn't mean they're productive every minute and every hour of that day. Someone can work 4 days a week, 8 to 9 hours a day, and get more done in that period of time if they prioritize and they're really focused. And someone who's doing some 6-7 days a week, 12 hours a day, but they're doing a lot of fuck around, checking their phone, doing this, doing this on the side, I'm going to go get some to eat. It's like, Kirk Cousins seems like the guy that's like, my full attention is on this for the next 8 hours, 10 hours I'm here. And when I do something, I'm fully committed. It doesn't always work out on the field in his favor. But that's just read and react football. That has nothing to do with him doing X, Y, and Z. But, and that's why I hate when you hear journalists and stuff talk about the importance of work-life balance, all this shit. But then when someone actually exercises that in certain positions, people get mad about it. It's like, oh, you need to be doing this. This is your job. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of things that your job, and you do shit on the job that isn't even work related. People take crazy long bathroom breaks on the job. People take smoke breaks. People, walk around, take their time doing things that isn't job related. But because typically in those situations, they're in situations that people feel that they're being underpaid and stuff like that. It's like, oh, well, that's okay. It's like, I don't know. This shit's fucking, it's stupid. I would actually think what he is doing is a better realistic look of how to live your life and not let success kind of funnel you into a way of living that you may not necessarily believe in or that's naturally you. It's like, no, like he's a man who's obviously he has a faith and religion. He's a man that has values. He has identified that and he makes time for that. And he's made it clear. It's not like it's like, hey, the organization knows it. They've come to an agreement. This is okay. He didn't hoodwink them with like, you know what? I'm not coming in today, by the way. I'm going to take today off. I need time to myself. And then they see him out there. Like, he's not hoodwinking. He's, like, yeah, this is my day with my wife and my family. It's like the man takes one day to be with the people that makes life more full for him, more complete, the full picture of life. And people have the audacity to sit here and tell him that's why he's not great. That's why his work ethic isn't epitome of what greatness is. It's like, yeah, and look how, and someone actually made a point. It's like, yeah, you know what? Tom Brady literally lost his marriage to win one more Super Bowl. Was it worth it? I mean, the financial part, I don't know. I don't know what their financial divorce situation is. I mean, she already has money, so maybe it's not even really anything. I'm pretty sure they have assets and stuff. But, it's like, was it really worth potentially losing your family unit as you know it traditionally just because of competitive nature? It's like, well, that's what makes them great. It's like, yeah, that's what makes them great in your eyes, but they've got to live with the consequences that come with that for the rest of their... and look, that doesn't mean if he didn't play that their marriage would have lasted. But obviously that was a pretty big deal. And he went through the divorce during the season. And, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have, how much power. When you get divorced or lose something that you genuinely wanted and felt like you failed the situation in some way, that will affect anyone. I don't care, but we live in this where fans, and it's very first take, undisputed mode, where it's all about because of Skip Bayless, and really being on Skip Bayless, it's all about like having that killer instinct. You'll be like Michael Jordan. It's like, and it's just this everything about winning and competitiveness goes in front of everything important in life. And if you think otherwise and you're just soft and weak, it's like, yeah, you're also going to miss out on a lot in life. It's about like, look, what's important to you? If you're okay with what comes with this and the benefits, sure. But Michael Jordan also doesn't have a great relationship with his kids. He's been divorced a few times. He has this very unsettling demeanor when people interact with him. His ego's crazy. And it's like, and then people say, well, that's why LeBron's not MJ. It's like, okay, LeBron still has his family, kids that he's actively in their life, a wife that's been with him since high school. He's a billionaire, been in movies. He has his own business empire. He's year 20, 21 in the league now because of how well he's taking care of himself. He has his priorities, what matters to him. And so it's like, okay, and he's had a great career. He's lost some finals. He's choked in some situations in his past, but he's overcome them. Like most people in life is not just this linear success rate. So it's like you could criticize him for his failures in terms of winning as many finals and losing all the finals he did. But from a full, complete package of life, I would take LeBron's overall life. Because you know what? When he retires, he actually has kids and a family that he can kind of have lived through them. Like, man, I'm seeing my kids have success. I have a real relationship with them. I'm active in their life. I'm actually like really their father type of shit. And feel like it. And I didn't get caught up in just being this competitive, crazy whack job that I wasn't able to think for myself. And I let the competitive nature of quote unquote winning take over everything that deemed to be important in my life. There's pros and cons. All I'm saying is there are pros and cons to it both. And don't be like these Mike Florios criticizing other people when you don't know what it's like doing their position. Kirk Cousins may be putting 18 hours a day into his position. And you have the audacity to criticize. But I don't know. Camera's about to die. So yeah. That was episode 225 of the Off of Me podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on all apps. Leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But most support, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to say this earlier. Don't forget to suck some titties. I got it in at the end before the battery died. And well, when you're sucking them titties, they never die. All right. I was doing so well, and I had to fuck it up. I had to say something stupid. But yeah, have a great day.